What is up, Rotogrinders? Once again, invading on Blender's space. Blender, this is your turf, man. We're invading once again. You normally do your 11 o'clock show, I believe it starts. So we're starting a little bit later today, 11:34. If you want to get all technical on the East Coast, that'll be 8:34 on the West Coast. Good morning, West Coast. There's some morning baseball, as there typically is, on the midweek, Wednesday, Thursday. That's how it kind of goes down. Getaway day. We got a nice little 5-gamer. Blender gonna break it all down. It's all pitching, and then it's so clearly defined, from a analysis perspective, right? I mean, I'm sure you've looked at the slate, and this feels like a Blender slate because you're just gonna do the opposite what's supposed to happen because it's baseball.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we'll go over what the chalk is. It's going to be 2 specific pitchers, or maybe 2 of 3, and then basically Coors Field. And as you can see, we're testing out a new broadcast setup or something, some type of video thing. So you get
what is it
this
called?
Is where we record. Hey, you get to see what it looks like when the fancy graphics and everything and isn't there, and the green screen and part of your office or your wherever you record. Where do you have your
parts unknown? I'm like the wrestler that they don't really want. I want to be mysterious. Parts unknown is where my current location.
Yeah, but where in your
It's an office area. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
How about yourself?
Both have offices. Some people, it's like, oh, I just do it in my kitchen or something. You put up the green screen and whatever.
How about yourself? Where are you currently located?
I have my office. I mean, it's technically a bedroom of the house, but
yeah,
it is my office with all my computers set up and everything. But
people are getting a peek behind.
You get to see my coat rack or whatever over there, my other table over here instead of just the center.
It's exciting stuff. People are getting a peek behind the scenes. This is how the magic works. They can also be a part of the show if they put a spectacular enough comment in the YouTube. It will actually get highlighted on the screen. And then that's up to producer Devin. He is he can make careers, Devin, and it's up to him. It's his call. You gotta have a good enough comment in the old YouTube, and we'll throw it up on the screen. What's up, YouTube? Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn those notifications. Typically, this is the time, Blender, where people are asking you all sorts of wonderful questions that you like to answer. Would you want to encourage the people? We can answer plenty of questions throughout the show, right? We're here. Well, this stream is taking you guys all the way up the lock, obviously. You'll be relieved. There is a crunch time crew coming in. Chief meteorologist Kevin Roth tells you all what's going on weather-wise. I believe it's the combination of TJ and Keith who are going to be doing the analysis from a baseball perspective when the crunch time crew comes in. But that's not for about, a little less than an hour.
Yeah, seems like it.
So, did you want to encourage questions today?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Who cares?
What do you want to encourage? The people. This is the debut. We want to throw some stuff on the screen. What do you want up there, Blender?
I don't know. It could be cereal recommendations.
Well, no, we've already done that. And we need Chopper for that. Chopper is the resident cereal expert. The man has a second dinner every single night, a bowl of cereal.
I had a bowl of corn pops last night.
Did you eat it immediately? Because otherwise, the milk it will saturate.
I don't eat it with milk. I eat it dry.
Oh yeah, I mean, okay.
What's wrong with that? Most of the cereals that I have here, I have cinnamon toast
milk,
crunch. I have corn pops. My wife likes French toast crunch, so I always make sure that I always have to check the box for the French toast crunch.
Yeah,
I always have to leave her a bowl because if she's expecting to have some cereal in the morning or something,
sure.
So it's like if it's a full box, I could eat as much as I want as long as I could feel it's like okay, there's enough of a bowl for her, and that's fine. Then she doesn't complain, even though there's cinnamon toast crunch there, but she likes French toast crunch.
That's an offshoot, right? They're in the same. They're like cousins, basically, right?
Right. It's like Better Call Saul to Breaking Bad.
That's a big comp, though. But that means you're basically saying it's like the 1A or 1B of cereals.
Yeah. Well, French toast crunch is okay. It's no waffle crisp, but it's close.
Eric says that you use water in your cereal. You just don't use any liquid, correct?
No. Well, I mean, if I have something like Honey Bunches of Oats, for instance, that's a milk cereal. You don't eat that dry because it's flakes and stuff and little nuggets or whatever. That's a milk cereal. Cinnamon Toast Crunch ain't a milk cereal. That you eat like you're eating potato chips.
Interesting. So what would be the best milk cereal?
The best milk cereal? Probably Frosted Flakes overall.
That's classic. Yeah.
Right. Honey Nut Cheerios is the most versatile cereal because that's a milk cereal and a dry cereal.
Yeah, but it can be mediocre in multiple ways.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's versatile. It's a 7 out of 10 in both directions, but it's never like it's there. I got Honey Nut Cheerios. I got a big box. If there's nothing else to eat, I got it there. But
you're rounding up though. That's a generous score.
No, I'd say 7 out of 10 for Honey Nut Cheerios. Yeah. Why
not? We do have some lineups sprinkling in. Okay, so how the slate's going? There's 2 games at 1:00 or 1:10 if you want to get all precise and technical. Those lineups are already in. Obviously the big chalk is going to be the Giants to some degree. Well, not really so much, but the Rockies, and then the Dodgers who are facing Zach Davies. Have you been following the Zach Davies saga on Twitter by chance?
No. I saw some tweets last night. There's something going on with his personal life.
Yeah, his wife came out like on Instagram or one of those things, and basically said that he ghosted her. He essentially just he tweeted or he texted her and basically said, I guess he has got something else going on in his life and another lady friend, I imagine. But he ghosted his wife. He ghosted his dog, which is another. I mean, he
ghosts a lot of batters. Also, he's not like necessarily the greatest of pitchers either.
Yeah, his wife put a big passion into basically talking about how their situation's not going well, and that's none of our business, but. It's hard enough to face the Dodgers as is, but I don't know where is Zach Davies mentally right now. I have no idea. I don't know how to factor that in. I don't know if the Derek Carty put that in the bat in any instance. I'm not really sure how you would weight that, but she put a big passionate thing on the old Twitter or Instagram, or it popped up my Twitter. I don't have Instagram, but
you follow Zach Davis's wife?
No, but people retweets. You know how Twitter works.
Right, I know. I'm just saying, like, how would anyone find out who's following Zach Davies? Oh, I gotta follow the players' wives.
She puts it out there, and then they tell 2 friends, and they tell 2 friends, and they retweet it, and then that's how it goes. I have no idea. I couldn't pick her out of a lineup. I have no idea who she is. But there's some personal issues going on with Zach Davies, basically, and it's been out there for a couple days, and he's still going to be throwing baseballs today versus the Dodgers. The Dodgers really, really good at baseball, obviously, and then you have the Rockies. At home versus San Francisco. We do have throwing for San Fran. Starting the game as a lefty makes it a little bit different because, it's all the sort of paranoia about the Rockies. The Giants and their pinch hitters, and they're healthy now, so they can, swap in 3-4 guys throughout the game if the situations call for it. A little bit trickier when the lefty starts. Colorado, we talk about how their bullpen is only just 2 lefties. Ty Block did go a long distance, not yesterday, but the previous day before. So I don't even know if he's available today. Maybe, not really sure. And the other one, Gilbreth, did pitch last night. So he's pitched in, I think, 3 of the last 4 games. But I assume, in a situation, a lot of times these relievers can come in 4 and 5. It happens. I assume he's ready and good to go if they need him. But, the tricky part, of course, is that a lefty's starting. So all their righties are going to start. And then, almost definitely righties will be coming in. And then Austin Slater and Wilmer Flores and, I don't know, Longoria. All sorts of guys could potentially get swapped out for Wade. Well, we'll see. We don't.
I think it's less likely. I think it's more likely when a righty pitcher starts and they have the lefties in, do they get pitched in for? It's less likely that the righties do.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, and the other part is that DK and Fanduel, they just don't care they have to know what they're doing with the pricing, right? In cores, and they're just like, yeah, well, whatever, you figure it out. You take a stand because the pricing in cores has been egregious. This is the 3rd day going. They're just not changing it. It is what it is. And that's where people are going to go to save salary. We don't know the lineup just yet, but we can kind of guess that Slater's probably going to play. Longoria is super cheap. But
Flores, Ruff. The chalk lineup, I could literally share the chalk lineup is going to be a 5-3 Giants lineup. It's going to be Sonny Gray and Corbin Burns with Flores, Longoria, Yastrzemski, Ruff, and Slater, and then you have Turner, Muncy, and Smith as your 3 Dodgers. And there you go. Feel free to split first place 74 times like that.
Well, it's not basketball, so almost definitely that lineup's not going to win.
Right. I'm not even saying it's going to even be do that much, but it's so obvious that with the Giants pricing as low as they are, because look, they have a 6.09 implied team total. The Dodgers at 5.53 implied team total. They're by far the highest on the slate. Yeah, Colorado 4.91, but a lot of pitching matchups going on the slate that you don't expect. Walker Buehler. You have Oakland and Minnesota. You have Atlanta. You have Max Fried against Milwaukee. That's people aren't going to really play the Brewers. So on a 5-game slate, it really stands out, especially because the Giants are priced so low. If the Giants were priced competitively for cores and they were $5K apiece, then they'd be a lot more like, well, you can't fit everyone in. It's like, no, you can fit everyone in. But this makes it easier for me, for my style of play, because like the stuff that's so obvious, it's just that I'm just not going to do I'm just not going to do it. It's a 5-game slate. I have no problem Xing out the Giants on this slate. Although there are cases to be made that maybe play the bottom of the order a little bit more, but these smaller slates, I like looking for where's the easiest path for me to win first place, and to me there are basically 3 paths. Okay, I think all you have to do is choose one of them. You don't have to choose 2, and you definitely don't have to choose 3. So I think that the paths are 1. Not playing the Giants or the Dodgers at all, right? You just X them out completely. Then you also have, if Burns and Gray are going to be high owned, stacking the Braves against Burns or stacking the A's against Sonny Gray. So if you choose one, but I'm just saying, if you choose one of those, right? You could say, oh, okay, I'm going to X out I'm not going to play any Giants. I'm not going to play any Dodgers, but I'll play Gray and Burns. I don't have no problem playing the chalk pitchers. And then just hoping that Giants and Dodgers don't put up enough runs. I mean, it's not like they do nothing, but they just don't do enough. Or you could think the opposite and go, well, I don't mind playing the Giants. I'll play the Giants as a 3-man. Maybe mix them in with some other, with whoever I'm going to play the A's against Gray. Right? And play Corbin Burns and Drew Rasmussen or something like that, at pitcher, and go, okay, so the 40% of people that have Gray, if he gets hit up, I have what directly benefits from that, and do one of those things on a 5-game slate. So whichever one you like, but I don't think the easiest path to first place is finding a way to get Burns, Gray, Giants, and Dodgers into your lineup, and then hopefully beating out half the field that has that type of lineup. Even if you do the bottom of the order, you play Estrada instead. You play Joey Bart at the bottom of the lineup. You play, okay, I'll play Dalton Jeffries. I'll take a shot on him as an SP2. Those are viable paths to first place. They're just harder, right? You're still sharing points with a lot of the field. And on these short slates, I'm playing 6 lineups. So it's I have no problem just saying, well, here are my 6 lineups. If Coors Fields goes off, then I lose. And that's the end of the story, right? But I want to choose 6 paths to first place that are easier, that I don't necessarily have to care that much about the projection or even the exact ownership. Because once you start Xing out the Giants and you don't play Gray and Burns together, your ownership's going to be pretty low as it is. So that, to me, that's the overview of the slate. But I think that there are more ways, there are more pitching options, I think, on this slate than there are hitting options, which is good and bad if you're looking for leverage. But if you did want to play Giants, Dodgers types of lineups, I mean, there's no reason why, overpaying for Walker Buehler can't work out, or, playing Logan Webb against the Rockies in cores or something like Eduardo Rodriguez, maybe a little bit lower owned than Rasmussen or something like that. I think you could get, the ownership's still there, but you could get an outlier result at pitcher and that still work out. But for baseball being such a failure-driven sport on the hitter side, I'm more inclined to I'll play the chalkier pitchers, play the better projected pitchers, and then just get different at hitter.
We have one extreme as far as umpires. That is the Dodger game. Walker Buehler and Zach Davies have an extreme pitchers umpire for what it's worth. And look, there's 10 pitchers to choose from, right? You got Corbin Burns, one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. Max Fried, really, really good. A little bit better real life than DFS, but really, really good pitcher. Rasmussen's good. Buehler, really, really good real life pitcher. Still a good DFS player, but not amazing. Erod, better than average, pretty good. Logan Webb, pretty good. The K's aren't elite, but a pretty good general pitcher. And Sonny Gray, historically pretty good, facing Oakland. And the reason why he's popping, as an SB2 on DK is because he's 6.7K, and he's facing Oakland. Pitch count concerns to some degree, but he did throw, 80, 81, 82 pitches last time? What's the precise number? So, he should be – I mean, look, he shouldn't be the fourth cheapest, right, amongst this group.
Right. And even though his pitch count, I could go to the bat projection page.
I think they're pretty optimistic there as far as his pitches, but it's probably about correct.
Yeah, 92 seems a little high, but I mean, I would put 85 to 90. I think that's fine. But for 6,700, it's not like he's 9,000. So for 6,700 against the A's, his strikeout prop is he has the second best strikeout prop in the entire slate. No, the third. Max Fried has the second. But I mean, his strikeout prop is slightly better than Walker Buehler's, and Walker Buehler is 10.3K.
So strikeout props, you can find that in Lineup HQ as well. Of course, you can shop around and jump at different sites and do that. But yeah, Burns is strikeout prop. One of these is not like the other. Corbin Burns, by the way, shout out to yesterday's slate. Cards was talking about on Crunch Time. I don't know if you were watching that or if you caught that, but basically every pitcher last night had a strikeout prop of 4.5, which is just wild. Today, you got Burns at 8.5, not just 8.5, but minus 136, 8.5. I presume that's on the over. Wow. Yeah, 5.5.
Yesterday, every pitcher had a strikeout prop of 4.5, and the Astros had a home run prop in an inning of 4.5. Right?
Man, Eovaldi, it was a rough case for. Yeah, I didn't stack the Astros yesterday. Did you? I didn't do that.
I stacked the Astros the day before.
Oh well, day late, dollar short. Is that a phrase that people use? Is that a thing?
I don't know.
You were a day early, right? Doesn't matter. This is Daily Fantasy Sports Blender. All we care about is today and today only. It's literally in the name.
I wish we could go back in time. If we had a time machine, we'd be playing reverse Daily Fantasy Sports.
Hey, I got my friend Biff has got. I'll blow your mind when I'll tell you what he's got. This magazine. It's got all sports in this little magazine, for 300 years. Not 300 years, but 75 years.
You figure having all those results, the book would be a little bit bigger.
Yes, well, the font is 2. You really gotta squint your eyes to read
a magnifying glass or whatever.
Yeah,
and they Back to the Future. They list the years on that, right?
Yes,
it's the sports almanac, and it seems like a 50-year period, and it's like why does it seem like it's only 80 pages?
This is one of my little critiques that I've had over the years on one of my favorite, my favorite movies of all time. Best movies. What are the best PG movies of all time? Can we say that? Back to the Future. I know the second one's got almanac, but you know what I mean. Just as a PG rating, not a lot of great PG movies, right?
I don't pay attention to the rating. I don't know.
Just sort of, well, they didn't change that until I think the 70s or something like that, or 78 or what?
I think The Princess Bride is PG.
Well, that's a lot of movies they're kind of on the fence are PG in the 70s because PG-13 wasn't invented until 1980, I think 81, 82, 83.
Yeah, but Princess Bride came out in 86, 87, something like that.
I'm not sure. I know early 80s. Yeah.
Right. But there are some movies that were rated PG that you would think of as more of a PG-13
correct
movie.
There was no middle ground. It was either this or that, basically.
Right. Yeah, I remember when I was a kid where it's the movie was rated R, it was rated R for a reason.
Yes.
And PG movies, it's almost like it was G, there was a bigger gap between G and PG than there was between PG and R. R just pretty much means violence and cursing and possible nudity. But I mean, you'd have some PG movies that were not necessarily the cleanest of movies to begin with.
PG-13 came into existence in 1984. The very first PG-13 movie was Red Dawn.
Okay.
There you go. That's where it's somebody's invading, another country's invading a city and the high school kids defend it. Is that Red Dawn? I think.
I don't know.
I think
was 5. I didn't see it.
Well, I mean, a lot of things happened before you were born, Blender, that you're aware
of.
But
it doesn't matter to me. I didn't watch. I mean, if the movie came out before 1979, I'm like, that's an old movie. I ain't watching.
Have you heard of The Godfather or Rocky?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess the only movies that I really watched before then were the Woody Allen stuff and Mel Brooks stuff.
What's your favorite Mel Brooks movie?
Spaceballs.
That's a good answer. I like it.
Right, but I mean, History of the World Part 1, that's up there also. Young Frankenstein.
I believe. Is it not Wonder?
Movie?
What?
It's supposed to be Young Frankenstein.
Yeah, but have you seen this? You've seen the movie, right? Young Frankenstein,
yes.
I believe, correct?
Yes. What's your favorite Woody Allen movie?
I'm not a Woody Allen guy.
Oh, you're not? The older stuff. Bananas, Take the Money and Run.
Airplane is not a Mel Brooks movie. That's Zucker Brothers, right?
Right. They're the same ones that made the Naked Gun movies.
Yeah. That still holds up. Airplane is just a wild.
Yes.
Could they make Airplane in 2022? Not sure.
No, they did. They made all those. They tried doing the not another teen movie, not another scary. Like it's the same. Yeah. It's the same people. Doesn't really hold. It was the two.
I was thinking a scary movie. That was Keenen Ivory Wayans.
Right.
Which is kind of the similar,
Right. Similar genre.
It's all sort of in the same bucket. All right. Hey, the chat's to be throwing out some of their favorite movies now. Where did Patrick Swayze was in Red Dawn? I didn't know that. He must have been really young. Yeah. All right, now we're gonna get the.
You always get into these conversations when the slate is so clear. It's like it's 5 games, it's Coors Field, it's the Dodgers, it's Corbin Burns, and it's Sonny Gray. And then if you want to take a shot on like Erod, the problem with Erod is one of those pitchers where he's a good real life pitcher. You just have to take your Mylanta beforehand. And it's not because he gives up like home runs a lot. It's because you're sitting there in the first inning and you're like, oh, he has 2 strikeouts, but he had 32 pitches because he had 2 walks and a guy on base and a guy hit the ball over. 6 guys got up to the plate, and you're like, can this guy even last 4 innings? Not because he's not pitching necessarily, he's getting strikeouts. He's getting soft contact. It's just that going 6 innings for Erod is an adventure. In every inning, there's going to be a guy in scoring position, and then he has to hopefully get out of it. So his pitch count is always, an issue. He'll pitch 112 pitches, but sometimes that's only 4 innings, right? That's the issue there. So I think Erod is worth taking a shot on.
The other tricky part is this lineup that Tampa's throwing at him dating back to last season. It's really, really contact heavy, 20.9% collectively, but that's because what's skewing that is Phillips at 48% at the bottom of the lineup, left on left. But besides that, Diaz leading off, really big contact guy, 13%. Franco, less than 10. Ramirez, 14%. Rosarena will strike out a good bit. Mejia was, pretty good contact guy, 19.5%. And then there's, Prit is what? That's a small sample, but less than 10% as well. 28% as far as Erod. The walks have been in check. Dating back to last season, 7.3%. That's pretty solid. On the other side of that game, Rasmussen's is one, similar price spot. And I think those are kind of the pivots away from Gray. Is Erod, and it's Rasmussen. And the key for him, one of the keys for him, the Ks aren't necessarily there. They're fine, 21.7%. But this Detroit lineup strikes out a ton. And there's a lot of strikeouts at the top, too, which is nice to see because you catch them the third time around. If you're not necessarily completing the entire lineup, if you're not going through making 18 outs, you're getting Grossman, Castro, Baez 3 times. Baez, a lot of power, obviously, but you like to see him in the lineup because of the K upside. And even, Torkelson, the rookie, striking out a good bit. You got Barnhart and Hill at the bottom, 26% as far as Ks. Do you have a preference amongst Rasmussen and Erod? What's the difference in ownership as far as those two?
Well, Rasmussen is going to be more owned. I mean, we currently have Rasmussen as 33% owned, so he's going to be owned. I like that game for both pitchers and batters, only because the pitchers are going to be owned also. It's one of these games where the pitchers are going to be more owned than the bat. The pitchers in this game will be over owned. But remember, it's a 5-game slate. There's only so many pitchers you could choose from. So, if you're going to get off of Burns and Gray, you're most likely going to be going to a Max Fried at 9,300, which is a little bit overpriced for his strikeout upside. But those pivot ranges, especially if you're stacking the Rockies or the Dodgers, you're going to need a somewhat cheaper pitcher. And at 7,500 and 7,900, people are going to look, in the Dome in Tampa for Erod or Rasmussen, which means that the batters in this game should be under-owned. I mean, the Rays will get a little bit of ownership, But I mean, they're also stacking them is a little bit expensive with Yandy at 4,800, Franco at 3,500, but the rest of the lineup is cheap as hell. Right, Rosarina's 4,400. Okay, so you got 3 guys above 4K, but Harold Ramirez 2,800. Mejia at catcher's batting 5th at 3,400. I mean, the bottom of the lineup isn't very good with Paredes, Brujan, Walls, but you can make it happen. So I'm fine with playing pitchers or batters from this game because I think if you play a pitcher, like the whole thing about getting different, it's lineups, not players. So like if you're gonna go, okay, I'm gonna play the Giants stack, but instead of playing Gray, I'm gonna play Rasmussen. It's like, okay, so if you're having a 3-man stack with your Giants, maybe that's what you play the Rays with Rasmussen, so you get the the leverage off of the people that when they pivot to Erod, you're getting the negative correlation there. Right? Because, if Erod gets blown up, you have batters against him and vice versa. So let's say you're playing Erod instead of Gray. Well, then maybe play the Tigers. So you have batters against the Rasmussen lineups, right? And you could say the same for the Brewers, I guess, to some extent. I'm not a big fan of taking bats against Max Fried, especially stacking. No. I think one-offs are fine, but Max Fried rarely just gets killed. But maybe
he doesn't give up fly balls and he doesn't give up homers.
Right. So, well, that's the problem. Well, there you go. Right.
So and he doesn't walk in.
That seems iffy. Yeah, it'll happen once a season, maybe. But I'm more inclined to just take a power righty, take Renfroe. Because Tellus is 5K. I don't know how you do that. The Colton Wong's 5.2K is a lefty. The Brewers are just overpriced today. But I don't. I mean, Yelich is 5,300 and Urias is 49. I mean, it's kind of laughable that the Brewers have a 3.47 implied run total against Max Fried, and they're twice as expensive as the Giants with a twice as high implied run total against Kyle Freeland in cores.
By the way, I was distracted. I was looking at the chat, and the chat's running down a bunch of movies and having a good time with that. But do you know the name Lincoln Hawk? You know what movie the character Lincoln Hawk exists in?
Is it Hudson Hawk?
No, that's a different movie. It's not Hudson Hawk. Lincoln Hawk is the lead character in a movie. Debatably, arguably, I don't know if there's any competition. The greatest arm wrestling movie of all time.
Oh, Over the Top.
Yeah.
In order to win it, in order to do the arm wrestling, you got to turn your hat around, right?
Yes, there it is.
Secret, you do that, and then next thing you know, you're you got it, right?
It's probably terrible, but I liked it when I was a kid. It's probably I remember it probably better than it actually was. Is it a terrible movie? Have you seen it?
It's a horrible movie. I didn't remember it as a kid. I remember it as one of the movies that is known as a horrible movie. So you got to watch it once.
Yeah.
It's like The Room, right? No one saw The Room when it actually came out.
Well, The Room was the one that people watched because it was so terrible. They enjoyed how terrible it was, right?
Right.
Okay, that was from the 50s, wasn't it? 60s?
No, The Room's from 10 years ago.
No. They made a movie about the making of the movie.
But the movie itself is not that old.
Oh, I don't know now. That's important.
But I'm just saying it's a movie that it's more known as a bad movie, and people watch it because it's a bad movie than it was at the time when it actually came out.
Yeah, I think it's remembered, glorified as the greatest worst movie of all time. Is that a term?
Like that? Yeah.
Yeah. What is it? They have the Oscars and they have the Razzies. And I don't know if it won a Razzie that year or not, but probably well deserved.
I remember that the worst movie of all time that I actually saw when it came out was Freddy Got Fingered.
Oh, Tom Green. Yeah. People will stand for that movie.
No, that is bad.
The backwards man.
I was never a Tom Green person. I went because some friends or whatever.
I thought he had his moments. Yeah, I think he was kind of innovative with some of his stuff on MTV he was doing back in the day. It was definitely it was kind of ahead of its time.
Ahead of its time. It
was like a precursor to the Jackass to some degree. Some of the
Not
stuff
really. No, he was. I could say Tom Green to me was like a really much worse Sacha Baron Cohen.
Well, okay. I mean, sure. I mean, yeah.
A very immature, not clever, complete lowbrow version of that.
I just remember my favorite bit he ever did is he would follow around pizza delivery people, and his pizza company that he came up with was Undercutters Pizza. and he would like follow the delivery person to the door, and he would build the person's pizza and sell it for cheaper.
Right.
He would have a yeah. You have to see
talking about that genre that we're talking like that, which I don't know what you could call it, cringe reality comedy type of thing, like practical joke ish. The best at that. Like obviously, Sacha Baron Cohen is
the best.
Like I think pioneered that style. Borat and Bruno and Ali G.
Yeah.
Unheralded. You don't hear it get talked about much, but one of the best shows, Nathan For You.
I love that. I love that show. It was freaking brilliant on Comedy Central. It's on HBO Max if you want to catch it. It's
right. No, yeah, so I would absolutely recommend it. If you like that style of like kind of practical joke-ish, reality.
But Coley sort of deadpan. He does it in a deadpan way.
Right. He does it because he thinks he's seriously a marketing guru or whatever. And the ideas that he comes up with are just absurd.
Yeah, he's saving small businesses basically by completely absurd ideas. And it's really like, I don't know how much of it is real. I think most of it's real.
No, most it's all real.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I was disappointed when that show was either canceled or he didn't want anymore. He's written some shows or produced some stuff. He's still doing things. Yeah, he's good. I like him. So do we have to talk about Corbin Burnes? Like Corbin Burnes is awesome. Like do we have to sell the people on Corbin Burnes? Of course he's spectacular. He's the best pitcher on the slate. It's ownership's going to reflect on FanDuel. He's going to grab a ton of ownership when you're with roster one. I ran some optimals before the show for funsies. I understand optimal for baseball, LOL, but he was landing in at least 2/3 of those. You got a roster 2 on DK. I mean, we talked about the K rate, the K prop, 8.5. The Braves, Acuna's back and he is playing today for what it's worth. He did steal a base yesterday, which is encouraging because he was dealing with a groin. So I imagine he's, good to go. Fried's a good pitcher. Burnes is a good pitcher. Burnes minus 139. Is that one of the places you want to be different? You said you're making 6 lineups. Are you going to be?
I'm most likely deemed to have Burnes in all 6 of my lineups.
Okay.
Only how am I going to stack against Burnes? Probably not. He has the highest K rate on the entire slate by far. Like he's 10K. It's not like I can't fit in bats. Because what am I going to do instead? Play what? Rasmussen plus Gray and then pay up for what? Like I could pay up for anything I want anyway. So what's really the difference here? So I'm more likely to get different elsewhere. I think Burnes is the most likely out of all pitchers to lead the slate in raw points. So why not do it? I mean, if you want to play Braves against him, be my guest. But look, Riley's 5K, Albies is 5K. I mean, how do you even play? And the Braves have a 3 implied run total. Like if anything, maybe you play Ozuna at 3,900 as a bat against him, or you overpay for Acuna against Burnes and hope something happens. But I mean, the pricing.
Look, if you're playing in that contest on DK, that's what I think 150K as far as the prize pool, and it's 50K to first. You could stack the Braves against them. Like you expect to lose,
right? But typically against a pitcher of Burnes' caliber, I'd be more inclined to stack against him if the stack was cheaper. Like if the stack was as cheap as the Giants, then you'd make a case. But why am I paying these prices? I'd rather play Tampa. I'd rather play
no one else is doing it is the reason. And they're actually there's actually good hitters too. It's not like you're stacking Oakland at an extreme price.
Right. Well,
again, I'm not saying it's going to work.
I'd rather have Oakland at the cheap price. Like with Oakland, for instance, I could stack Oakland with the Dodgers, right? Because the Oakland's cheap enough that I can now fit in 3 expensive Dodgers, play Corbin Burnes, and now I'm not playing Sonny Gray. I'm playing Rasmussen or Erod in that lineup. To me, that's a better option. Or I could even outside of Buxton and maybe Correa. The Twins are cheaper. And I'd rather play the Twins against Dalton Jeffries than the Braves against Corbin Burnes.
One of the worst pitchers in the slate, right? Jeffries is probably bottom 2, bottom 3 as far as pitchers in the slate.
Right. Well, Zach Davis's wife would have an issue.
I said bottom 2, bottom 3, so they're both on the podium.
They're both on the podium. Zach Davis's wife thinks that Zach Davis is the worst pitcher on the slate.
Yeah, and so does his dog. How do you ghost your dog?
Get another dog.
2 sides. By the way, Correa is back. You mentioned him. He's $3K on Fanduel. Pretty good price there. They sent down Lewis, which is unfortunate because Lewis was sitting pretty well. I liked him. Hit another homer on his way out last night. They did keep the other rookie, Miranda, who's not hitting very well. I know it's different positions, I believe. And I think Lewis is going to be working on versatility defensively is one of the reasons why they sent him down. But Lewis is no longer a thing on Minnesota. Hey, let me ask you this. This is more of kind of like a hand builder question, Blender. Do you think – so like in my head, I'm thinking like maybe I'll just like put Burns in. And I pointed to my head, by the way, when I said head. I don't know why, just in case people were, where is this? Oh, there it is. Okay, thank you for the point. So do you think people are just going to plug in Burns, 1 o'clock game, 110, and maybe a hitter or no hitters, and then just wait for lineups? Because at 110, there's a pretty good chance we don't have the Dodgers just yet. It's 10 o'clock out there on the West Coast. Just kind of waiting to see what the Dodgers are doing. We not certain we're going to have the Giants lineup. We may. I guess my question is like, how much does the breakup in times factor into how you think people are going to make their lineups, or they're just going to do what they're going to do and adjust based on what's coming out?
Yeah, I think it's just more adjustment. I think we could predict the lineups better. I mean, the Dodgers are the Dodgers. I mean, most likely Trey Turner, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Max Muncy. I mean, like, who are they? Is Chris Taylor going to be in the lineup? Okay, like those types of players. I mean, maybe not. Is Austin Barnes going to be in instead of Will Smith? Okay, but I mean, I think you're pretty safe with Trey. I think you're pretty safe with Mookie, right? Muncy, Turner. I mean, these guys will be in the lineup. So, like, maybe instead of batting sixth, they're batting fifth or something. And same for the Giants. I mean, the Giants, like you're going to expect the righties to be in. You're going to expect Slater, Flores, Ruff, Estrada, Longoria, Bart. These guys to be in. Maybe the
Barnum was definitely in there. Casali's caught the last 2 games. It's a day game. Like I mean that's like almost a lock that Bart's catching.
Right, but I'm saying the worst case scenario is that most likely that maybe the batting order is slightly different. But I mean, you're probably not seeing Jock Peterson in the lineup, right?
You might see Belt sit. That wouldn't surprise me. Like Flores play first base or something like that.
Yeah, I still think they have Belt in the lineup. He's their best power hitter. I think he bats no matter what.
I mean, they might give him a day. Wouldn't surprise me.
Right, you're right. But I think people are going to build as if, this is the lineup, and then they'll alter otherwise. I think it's more likely we get the Giants lineup a bit just before lock than because look, we're getting the Rockies line. We just got the Rockies lineup right now.
Okay. And by the way, the Dodgers played a doubleheader yesterday, so there's a chance somebody gets a day today. I know they took out some of their guys in the second game because they were ahead. They were well ahead. But like a pinch runner or something like that. But we might see something a little bit goofy for LA.
Yeah, the Rockies lineup is a bit different than our projected. So the Rockies lineup is Blackman, Daza, Crone, McMahon, Rogers, Grichuk, Hilliard, Hampson, Servin at catcher.
Who?
I have no idea, but no Connor Joe and no Jose Iglesias, no Elias Diaz. So
Hampson's probably really cheap. He's been cheap and just not playing, right? How much is Hampson?
Hampson, I don't know. He'll be updated soon.
Yeah, he's 3-1 on DK.
Okay. How about Servin? Who's Servin?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Has he been their backup catcher all year? Servin?
Is he even in the player pool?
I'm not sure.
I did hide unprojected. He's not even there.
No. We had Diaz projected, and I think Nunez has been their backup this year, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I don't know who
Brian Servin. I'll go check DK. But I mean, in lineup HQ, he's not coming up as an unprojected player.
I don't think he's in the player pool unless he's at a different position. How do you spell it?
Servin, like serve with an N at the end.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was an S or a C. But no, doesn't look like he's in the player pool, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, yep. So you can't. So they only got 8 batters to choose from for the Rockies.
Yeah, Eric's in chat's asking why aren't we talking about the Rockies? We're talking about them now, like we keep talking about the Giants. They're both in the same field, obviously. Webb's a better pitcher than Freeland, I guess we can say that. Or we could say the hitters and the Giants are more imposing the hitter on the Rockies. The Rockies have been, if you look at split stuff, they've been much better versus lefties as opposed to righties. Crone, their biggest bat, hits from the right hand side as well. But yeah,
but also the pricing difference. I mean, I think it makes a difference now. Now you got Connor Joe out of the lineup. He was 5-1. I mean, but Crone, Blackman, McMahon, these are expensive. I mean, they're Grichuk's 4,500. Like, these aren't cheap guys. Like, the Giants are obviously underpriced, right? The Rockies aren't necessarily. So, like, I think people may be playing the Giants with the Rockies instead of the Dodgers, right? I mean, I think the Rockies are the third team on the slate. So Giants number 1, Dodgers number 2, and Rockies number 3. And then after the Rockies, probably like maybe probably the Rays / Twins. And then from there, then everything else is kind of low owned, right? The Tigers, and then maybe the Brewers, Braves. You know, the A's will be low owned because Gray's going to be owned. But I mean, the Rockies are there. I still think they're going to be over-owned because people are just going to stack cores in general. But the Giants are uber owned.
Oakland is crazy cheap. They're terrible, but like everybody, like Kemp is 2.7, Noisy 3.1, Lowry 2.5, Loreno 2.8, Brown 2.4. Like they're terrible. But if a lot of maybe it's like a mini stack, like you want to get like a main, that's one way to be different. Just run out 3 A's.
No, run out 5 of them. Who cares? 5.
I don't want 5
Sonny
A's.
Gray's a fly ball pitcher. He's a fly ball pitcher. He maybe gives up 3 dingers.
To who? Noisy, maybe?
To any of these guys. Who knows? John Murphy? Why? I mean, these guys, some of these guys have power, right? Laureano, Seth Brown, Barrera can hit the ball over there. Kevin Smith, I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not sexy, but at their prices, like, why can't I play the A's with the Dodgers instead of the Giants? And like they're cheaper than the Giants, and you could already stack the Giants with the Dodgers. So it's like, well, why not try to capitalize on the leverage on Sonny Gray? Now, this doesn't mean I'm not going to play Sonny Gray. So like out of my 6 lineups, I may have Sonny Gray in 2 of them, and I may have Oakland A's in 2 other lineups, right? So like I'm playing that type of game, like. Where are the leverage spots, right? Let me use one of them in each lineup. So in the
how much
lineup
do you
where
want to leave on as far as salary wise?
Anything you want on a 5 games. I mean, whatever.
I mean, you
correlation matters to me more than anything. I'd rather play a 5-3 lineup with leaving $2K on the table than just play some random one-off that's going to be 8 million% owned.
So you'd rather play by that, I guess. So you'd rather play. Seth Brown than Byron Buxton. If
Seth Brown goes along with the 5-man A's stack, yeah. But most likely I'm not going to be put in that position if I'm playing Corbin Burns in my lineups because he's 10K. Yeah. Most likely he's going to be taking up most of the salary. So like the salary that I'll be leaving on the table is more of like where am I going at pitcher, because like it's more the fact of like I have the lineup I want, 5 + 3 or something like that. And it's Corbin Burns plus Drew Rasmussen, and I have like $1,500 on the table. It's like, well, I could put Rasmussen up to Max Fried, but I could choose not to do that. So it's like, I'd rather not break up my stacks than I don't mind leaving money on the table. It's baseball, especially if my path to first place goes through the Giants not doing well, not doing enough. I'm not saying they get shut out. Just saying that they don't do well. So it's like, then what does it matter if I leave $1,500 on the table? To me, it doesn't matter that much.
The crunch time crew will be coming in, 5 minutes or so, give or take, and they're going to do a more traditional conversation about the DFS slate, and they'll go around the horn and give their favorites, this and that. And presumably you've picked up on some of our favorites just throughout the conversation, but if that's what wets your whistle, we got TJ coming in shortly. We got, I believe Keith is coming in as well. Keith Mineralogist, Kevin Roth, anything weather-wise, so we'll be talking about that. I did find the Fangraphs page for this Brian Serven, 27 years old. Looks like he's going to be making his debut in the majors. Yeah, I don't think he's – well, I guess it doesn't matter. He's not even the player pool, right?
You can't even play him. That doesn't matter whatsoever.
Arizona lineup came out. Ketel Marte is not in it. He was a late scratch the other day. So, a bump to Buehler. Marte, one of the best hitters there. Varsho is hitting off. Varsho, Rojas, Smith, Walker, Peralta, Hummel, Perdomo, Thomas, and Hager is the Arizona lineup, which is bad. That's a bad lineup. Buehler just, his Ks just are not as elite as Burns, and he's always kind of expensive. But for sure, you can play yourself some Buehler in tournaments. He's also a guy that theoretically can go 7 or 8 innings.
Or 9. He could go a complete game shutout.
Yeah, he's dropped that earlier in the season for sure. trying to think of other any sort of major stands you're taking as far as this, or you're still kind of figuring it out. Actually, Michael has a question in chat, and it speaks to the conversation we're having. If you're hand building, right? How much do you go out of your way to not spend all of your salary?
I don't necessarily think in those regards of I'm going out of my way, but it's inevitable that I'm going to be leaving money on the table. If I'm going to stack the Tigers with the A's, for instance, if you wanted to do that, you almost have to leave money on the table. I mean, if you're going to play, let's look at you're going to have to use a shortstop. So you're going to be playing Javi Baez as your most expensive player in your entire lineup. And you have Scope at second or something, and Willie Castro in outfield, and then you're playing Noose and Brown. Yeah, I mean, you're going to be leaving 2K, 3K on the table in that lineup, even if you play Corbin Burns and Max Fried. So, the only way to get those lineups is by leaving money on the table. So, I'm not going, yes, I'm going to prioritize leaving money on the table just because, people that use Optimizer are more likely to use, but good players that use Optimizers don't necessarily use all the money on the table.
Well, you can use them differently. You can make them so it forces you. Yeah, it opens things up, obviously.
Right. When I use lineup HQ, I don't say that, you have to spend $49,500 or something on DraftKings.
Yeah.
No, I put it at $45,000 whatever comes up. Yes, I'm most likely not leaving $5,000 on the table, but hey, there's some slates where some of my lineups leave $3,800 because in order to get the two cheap stacks together that I'm playing a bunch of, and one of the cheaper pitchers, it's well, that lineup can win, right? That lineup could still be perfectly fine, and especially on smaller slates, there's less opportunity cost to do I play the 3K guy or the 6K guy? It's when there's a lot of 6K guys, it's not just Trout or nothing. Then maybe one of the other 6K level guys does well also. So maybe you shouldn't be playing the 3K guys. But on a 5-game slate, I don't mind. And we got an A's lineup that's slightly different.
Spoiler alert, it's bad.
It's bad, but it's worse than it was.
Elvis Anderson's in it, which makes it worse.
Right. So Kemp, Noyce, Laureano, Brown, Bethancourt instead of Murphy, Pinder instead of Pinder's in there instead of Pash, then Barrera, Andrews, Smith. So no Lowry, no Murphy. Yeah, it's a slightly worse lineup.
It's bad. Yeah. I mean, Kemp is 2.5 on DK as a leadoff hitter. He's, got a little bit of speed, and that's about it. nicest way to describe him, I suppose. But it's a rough lineup, but it's obviously not a great ballpark either. The combination of both things. Team total for Oakland is right around 3. Hey, I give you the field, or I give you Corbin Burns. Who has the most points today? Individual person in the field, not the field as an entirety. You got Burns, or you got the field? Who puts up the top score today?
At pitcher?
Yeah,
I'm not hitting. I mean, if we look at if I just look at the projections, the bat projections, I would know based on the bat projections, I would have to take the field.
Yeah, it's probably like a, I don't know, 35, 65, 40, 60.
Something like that. Burns in the bat projects as the highest raw point pitcher by 4 points, but you'd figure on a slate like this that he'd project for 8 more points. I
thought it'd be more than that, but there are other good pitchers. Buehler's good, Fried's good,
right? And also he's facing the Braves, which is not a bad hitting team.
By the way, we're going to be back later today. Well, not yourself, myself. I'll be back later today talking tonight's night slate. I believe we're going to be coming on because the FanDuel slate starts at 6:40 or 6:30, and the crunch time crew and all that. I believe we're starting traditional time at 5 o'clock. If you guys are playing the night slate going down, when are you going to Vegas, Bueller?
Bueller.
Yeah, I was reading Bueller, and I saw on Twitter you're taking a Vegas trip. I'm glad you're going.
I'm going next Tuesday.
Anything in particular? Just getting a vacation? Anything going out there?
No, it's wrestling.
Oh, it's a wrestling event. Okay, that's you're building the trip around?
Yeah, I'm going to three shows and a convention. There's a Wednesday, Friday, Sunday shows, and then they have a fan fest on Saturday. I'm going to see Bill Burr on Saturday. He's going to be there.
Oh, that's really fun.
Yeah. So me and my wife are going for what, a week, right?
Where are you staying?
Bally's.
You say is Bally's not your favorite?
No, it's just the center strip and cheap.
Good location. Yeah. All right. What else is worth noting? What else should we talk about? Is like I don't want to ask you to pick some guys hitting home runs. You're not even gonna play along, are you?
But I'm not crazy. Eric Johnson's in the chat. I'm not crazy. You're not crazy. I'm stacking Oakland, so like, be crazy with me.
I mean, I say if you're gonna do that, you do that in the tournaments, like on DK where it's 33% up top and it's a big prize pool, large field.
Why not do it in the 121 single entry?
No. The risk reward's not worth it. No.
The leverage. Everyone's going to be playing Sonny Gray.
But there's other ways of getting leverage.
I know what you're saying. I know.
There's better hitters. You have good hitters that also are not going to really be owned. Yeah. I mean, and that I'm in the 121, and like you're right. Nobody's stacking Oakland in that. And
I'll do it. Not just out of spite, I will do it.
Well, I mean, I wish you luck. You can. It's not as hard to be different because we always talk.
I know. That's why I'm saying I'm on the fence about that. I know I'm going to out of my 6 lineups, I'm going to have 2 Oakland stacks. Just depends on is one of them going to be in the 121.
I'm going to say,
but the measurement that what I'm thinking of is it more valuable in the 121 because Gray is going to be maybe 60% owned and the A stack is going to be 1% owned in the 121 versus the large field contest where Gray may be 40% and the A stack may be 3 to 5%. So like from a relative value standpoint, maybe there's more value in the 121, even though I don't have to necessarily get all that leverage.
Alex in chat said he's stacked the Oakland, the 121 several times this year. I don't know if he's doing it today. Like
daily fantasy sports, it's all about today, right? We don't go back in time.
It is, but like, yeah, today now it is a small slate. So smaller the slate, the more goofy you can get as far the less stuff that can beat you. But you have several teams you got to dodge. I don't know. I look, I wish you the best of luck if that's what you're going to do for sure. That bullpen is not great for
people in chat are with me.
Sure. Yeah, well, now all of a sudden it's back and it's chalky. You talked them all into it, and now you're doing it because nobody else is doing it. Three more people are doing it. I'm going to
go in the 121, and the A's are going to be 25% owned as a stack.
Yeah.
And Gray is going to be the leverage. You should have played Gray as leverage on the chalk garbage A stack.
So I think just not playing Gray is almost like taking a stand against Gray. You don't also have to pick on him too. It's kind of like my thought process.
It's 5 games. Where else am I going?
Well, there's other. I mean,
there's a 12-game slate. I'd agree with you, but what else am I going to pick?
I mean, you could play Minnesota.
Who says I'm not? I'm playing Minnesota too.
Well, you can't play you can play whoever you want, but not like you can only submit 8 hitters.
What happens if I X out the Giants? Let's say I X out the Giants.
I mean, I appreciate the big swing. Yeah, I can appreciate that.
Who am I playing then? I mean, I'm probably not going to play the Diamondbacks against Buehler. I'm probably not going to play the Braves against Burns.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like I've already eliminated 3 out of the 10 teams. Right.
I might lean on a little bit of the Oakland stuff. There's no way.
So you're on board now. You're on board.
No. I'm not full-fledged on board. I mean, as kind of to make stuff work, salary savers, that kind of thing. Maybe like a 3-man, that kind of thing. But I'm not going full. Never go full A's. Right? Isn't that what they said in that movie? Yeah. There's just no chance.
Tropic Thunder was a very good movie.
Yeah. Another movie that probably couldn't get made in 2022. Yeah, so it's look, I respect those that are willing to do that. I respect the full swing, but I don't think I can do that. Again, if I'm playing, I'm not playing that contest if it's not clear. I'm not playing a contest where 33% is up top. That's just not for me. If it's for you, have at it, enjoy yourself. But I'm not participating. But if you are, I think that's the best spot to, or even play 4 Braves or 5 Braves. Why not? Have a good time.
Right. Well, that's the easiest. What we're saying, that the low probability but easiest path to first. It won't work out 99% of the time, but the 1% it works out, you win first place.
Yeah, but that's the other thing is the 121 is more of a flat payout, and that's kind of my point as well. Like when you hit it, you want to get fully rewarded, and that's not
right. But the thing about the 121 though, as a single entry smaller field contest, is that you don't have to be perfect. So let's say I do play the 5-man A stack with 3 Dodgers, Corbin Burns, and Rasmussen or whatever like that. Let's say the A's put up 7 runs, but I mean, maybe I have a 3-pointer, a 3-point Seth Brown or a 0-point Elvis Andrews in that lineup. But the fact that Like Sheldon Noose is only 2% owned, and Tony Kemp hits a home run or something. Like that could make up for the fact that like I could win first place even with like a 0 or 2 in my lineup because like no one has the A's. So like it doesn't have to be perfect.
Sure.
So being that I'm the only one with the A's, and if the A's do decently well, it's an easier way for me to get first place. But I mean, what we're doing is trying to weigh those two factors against one another. Like I'm making the case on as the larger my variable is, then it makes sense. But your point also exists. You got to also weigh in the fact that if the A's put up 14 runs today, you don't want to win the 121 by like 70 points because you're not getting anything more for it.
Yeah, and only get like, I don't know, 15% of the prize pool. You want to get 30% of the prize.
I love playing the 121.
I love it. No, I like it too because it's just caters more toward the way I play. Eric in chat saying, you think Fried and Burns together with the A's will be somewhat popular? No, people aren't playing the A's.
Fried and Burns with the Giants will be.
Yeah, you want to play, if you're playing Fried and Burns with the A's, like people aren't, no, we're having the conversation because it's part of the, it's a conversation to have and we're thinking beyond the obvious stuff, obviously. But the A's are not going to be popular. We're not speaking that into existence. Do we have ownership in the A's out of curiosity? I'm not sure if we have updated.
Laureano's going to have a little bit of ownership because he's
maybe like as a one-off, like somebody like Kemp leading off. Like he's like,
no, we still know the ownership was updated. There's no one. There's no one more than 6% owned.
Okay, yeah, and that's probably Kemp.
No, that's Laureano.
Okay, yeah,
and Lowry, who's 2,500.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's also the problem with the A's. They have 2 second basemen, so you're gonna have to choose
between who? Who are the two guys?
Oh well, no, Lowry's not in the lineup, so you don't have to choose. Okay, because this isn't updated for their current lineup.
We got TJ joining us shortly. Spidey as well. I presume Spidey's gonna be lurking. Apparently, Spidey demands 50 likes. Not asking too much. That's in his rider, though. Drop that, not drop it, hit the like button, smash it, caress it, whatever your adjective of choice happens to be. We do appreciate that. It keeps the proverbial lights on, all the good stuff. Turn on those notifications so you know what time we're going on live tomorrow and later tonight, because there is a night show as well. Subscribe, all that good stuff. We do appreciate that here at Rotogrinders. Anything else of note, anything else worthy that we need to point out as far as the slate? Like, again, of course, Corbin Burns is awesome. Would you be inclined to stack the bottom of the Dodger lineup today? We don't know what it is, but it's probably going to be better hitters than the top of Oakland.
Yeah, that is true. I still think there's a way to get different enough to some extent by playing the bottom of the Giants and the bottom of the Dodgers types of lineups. But still, you're sharing a lot of points with a lot of people also. So like yeah, you're going to be a bit more different. And it's still viable, but like I'm not a big fan of on small slates rooting for chalk, right? I want chalk teams to fail, and I just want to have the teams that do better than them.
You want chaos.
To me, that's an easier path.
They're asking what 5 A's would you stack? Like you don't have to get too cute with this, I don't think, right? Like
whatever 5 fits. I mean, they don't have a shortstop.
More like not the top. Like you're not going out of your way to get Elvis Andrus or like.
No. Because I'm most likely if you're going to stack the A's, you're going to play like Trey Turner in that lineup at the shortstop position. You're going to you're going to play good players in the other positions.
Any other stands you're taking or you're figuring out you're going to take as this progresses? And I'm hearing some.
My stand is that we got Roth and the guys here.
Oh, okay. Are they knocking on the door? Wait, what? Hold on. Who is in that TJ square? What? TJ is going full Spidey. He's not messing around. Oh, he's shooting his webs at us too. Do you know?
Not even bobblehead Spider-Man. This is the real deal here.
It's like 9:30 in the morning for him, I believe, and he's still. Look at the energy this kid has. Good for
Incredible.
him. Yeah. I don't know why I say kid.
The benefits of only being 28, Dean.
What's up, TJ? How are things in your world? By the way, speaking of times, I was very happy to see. Like, I like to do my expert rankings, like when there's an early shift, like the night before, if I can get away with it, like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And I see myself and Keith are both doing it at the same time, like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, yes, Keith's my guy. This is somebody I can relate to. There you go. What's up, Keith?
Oh, he's muted.
Oh, that's what's going on. Okay, I thought I was like, why can't I hear him?
He is trying to talk, but I don't hear him.
All right. Oh, now it feels like he's going to be kicking in. Roth, we should just step aside. You guys have, 30 minutes or so to knock the rest of this out. You guys can go around the horn, give your Spidey bombs if we get enough likes and all that good stuff. But myself and Blender, I feel like we've exhausted the slate as much as possible. With that, Roth, I'm just ignoring talking to you because of what happened last night, and you're sliding to my DMs, and
I did do a little shit talking, but we are on the same page for your Heat, though. We both want the Heat to win. So
there you go. I'll take it. Yeah. We split the night 1-1. Could have been worse, I suppose. But yeah, and it looks like I don't know if it's your guys or my guys or if it's the broadcast, but my video is getting funky. So maybe that's me, and I'm going to step aside and get out of here. But the start of the Fanduel Crunch Time is now. Roth, take it over.
Let's do it. This is it. Crunch Time sponsored by Fanduel, and yes, this is a brand new program we're using that we've never tried. So if there's issues, if it's choppy, if we can't hear the Iceman himself, if TJ
Let's
pops
check
on the
that.
Spider-Man.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Good job. So there's going to be a few little hiccups as we work through this, but that's how it goes. So I don't know. It seems to mostly be working okay. Joined, as always, by a couple of the sharpest minds in the biz. One, we got the Iceman himself with a fresh and functioning microphone. How you doing, Ice?
Oh, trying to get going on this early morning for these baseball slates. Always a fun time. Lots of chalk today, but lots of good chalk. So it's going to be hard to get different on this slate. We'll break it down for sure.
Okay. It is a weird one. It's just so odd to be doing a show before noon Central Time where I'm at. And I guess, TJ, is it even earlier for you? Was Dean right about the time zone there?
It's 10:35 here right now. So I'm an hour later than Pacific.
You're just waking up, man. That's craziness. That's basically time to wake up and get some breakfast. How you doing?
Doing pretty well. Happy to be here. I'm always ready to talk about baseball, no matter how early in the morning it is. Dean was right. When you got to do those expert surveys, those are the early days. So this isn't too bad at all.
Okay. Well, happy to have you both. We should note this is sponsored by FanDuel. That's the reason if you're watching on YouTube, you're getting this content for free. Sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook if you are in a legal sports betting state. New users get a risk-free bet up to $1,000, and you can take advantage of that. You get your bonus after your first-time bet. You don't have to play through 10 times or any of those shenanigans. You just make your bet, get your bonus. It is a wonderful little system. Also worth mentioning that after MLB Lock tonight, we've got a PGA Twitter space. This is the new thing. It's like Twitter Spaces or Space. It's beyond me, but apparently it's where you go. And then we've got some of our experts like Cards, Noto, and more talking about, is it the PGA Championship? Am I making that up?
You're not.
I'm not making that up. I'm right. That's great. I forecasted for it, but I had no idea what event it was. There is a massive weather edge. So go to Rotogrinders, hover over PGA, and scroll down to where it says PGA weather and click it and read it, because there is a massive, massive weather edge for PGA this week. You do not want to be in the dark when you're making those PGA lineups. But we are here to talk some baseball, and I think it's time to get to it. Ice, you want to give us a little breakdown of this slate in general, or would you rather just dive into some of these pitchers?
Yeah, I can do an overview. I mentioned some really chalky spots. Obviously, we only have 5 games. We have some very clear and obvious pitching. Corbin Burnes is the best pitcher on the slate by a good margin. Sonny Gray is way too cheap for his talent level, and he has a phenomenal matchup in Oakland. So those are going to be 2 of your very chalky pitchers. And then on the hitters side, you've got a Coors game as well, where San Francisco is still ridiculously underpriced, and the Dodgers are facing Zach Davies. So they are going to grab some ownership as well. Getting different, there's not a ton of options outside of that. So we're going to have to talk through this and try to pick our spots on how to differentiate our lineups, because there's a lot of chalk, and it's good chalk.
Okay, well, let's start with TJ for the pitcher breakdown, and then we'll come back to you, Ice, for some of those, other tournament pivots you're interested in. But TJ, what's your game plan as far as pitching goes?
My game plan is to, like you said, it's early in the morning. I'm just waking up. It's time to eat breakfast. And my breakfast today is going to be a big old bowl of chalk. And I'm ready to play Corbin Burnes against Atlanta, even though Atlanta's a good team. He's just far and away the best pitcher on the slate. And the other guys, like, I just don't see them having the same potential upside that Corbin Burnes has. Like, Sonny Gray, a lot of people are going to be going to him as their SP2 on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, where I'm playing only one pitcher, And then on DraftKings, where Corbin Burnes isn't even the most expensive, like I'm just, no matter how many lineups I play today, I think it's going to be with him.
Okay. Anything else you want to add as far as guys you're digging into, TJ, or are you good there?
Like if you are wanting to get crazy different in tournaments, stuff like that, I don't mind taking a shot on somebody like Drew Rasmussen. I think that'd be probably my favorite GPP look to get in there. But to me, Corbin Burnes just has by far the highest ceiling on the slate. So bats are going to be where I'm getting a little bit different today as opposed to pitcher. But I actually don't think you're going to have to get too crazy there either. So we'll talk about that when we get there.
Okay. Ice, give me your pitcher thoughts.
I agree that Burnes is clearly the top pitcher. So I mean, he's projecting for over 60% here on DK. I think you just lock him in and you try to get different with your second pitcher spot. I mentioned Sonny Gray, who is really underpriced, but if you pay up twice, I think you're getting a little bit different than what will be the most chalky build of Burnes and Gray as your two pitching. Your options up there to pair with Burnes are Walker Buehler and Max Fried. Both are better real life pitchers than DFS pitchers, but they're both really good pitchers. Buehler is expensive, and it's hard to do two 10K pitchers, but not impossible. If you're willing to punt some of your bats, and you can do it with guys like Oakland, who are against the chalky pitcher in Gray, it is doable. Fried, I mentioned as well. He has shown big strikeout games at times. He's not traditionally a huge strikeout pitcher, but it's a 5-game slate. It's baseball. Anything can happen. So I'm willing to take some shots there. If you're trying to pivot in the cheap range, TJ mentioned Rasmussen. I'm fine with that. He has a great matchup against Detroit. And I think you can look at Eduardo Rodriguez as well. A very inconsistent pitcher, but a pitcher who has some strikeout upside.
Okay, I got to ask, I'm looking at the prices here, and this is the FanDuel projections that we have up on Lineup HQ. And it appears there's a gentleman named Dalton Jeffries. Is this 5'8"? Do we have any interest in just going real cheap? Is there a reason? Do we have bats that we can be like, okay, play this crappy dude and we can get every single bat we've ever dreamed of?
No, because you don't really need to. Like Corbin Burnes is only 10K and he's projected for over double the points that Dalton Jeffries is. So like it's a I guess on FanDuel it's not quite, on DK it's over double, but no. It's not somebody I'd be wanting to go to there at all.
I see you in the same boat.
I am in the same boat. It's a little bit more viable on DK as a pivot off of Gray, where you can play two pitchers. So you pair him with Burnes to get that upside, and then you just hope that Gray gets blown up and Jeffries kind of survives. It would be more viable on DK. I definitely wouldn't do it on FanDuel.
Okay, good stuff, guys. Let's talk about some of the
thing
bats.
is it's like if Corbin Burnes gives up 3 runs in the first inning, he could finish the game with 6 innings pitched and 13 strikeouts and 3 runs. If Dalton Jeffries gives up 3 runs in the first inning, he's not getting out of the first inning. He's immediately yanked.
Getting the hook. Yeah, I get you. All right, guys, let's talk about some of the bats. Ice, you can lead us off there. Is there chalk stack? You mentioned there's Colorado and that maybe teams are not quite properly priced yet there in San Francisco?
Yeah, San Francisco is still underpriced. So we've seen huge San Francisco chalk the last 2 slates. It's going to be even worse today because we only have 5 games. We have some of these San Francisco hitters projecting for 40% ownership. The Dodgers are also in a really great spot. So they're second on the list and every bit as good as San Francisco. If you're doing anything outside of San Francisco and the Dodgers, you're getting different. But like I said, it's hard to match the upside. Both of those are really good spots, like as good of spots as we've seen all year.
Okay. Do you have interest in some of those other spots, or are you just going with those 2 teams?
Yeah, I mean, you have to find a way to differentiate your lineup somewhere. So it's not a comfortable feeling, but you have to take some shots. Colorado is expensive and facing a pretty good pitcher, but they're in Coors Field. So I'm willing to take some shots on Colorado. I mentioned Oakland as a way to save some money and pay up twice for pitching. I think that's viable. Sonny Gray is going to grab quite a bit of ownership, and he has but Sonny Gray is a very, very talented pitcher, but But I don't mind mixing in some of those cheap Oakland bats and just hoping one of them touches up Sonny Gray. You get a little bit of double leverage there. Outside of like the full stacks are tough. Tampa Bay, I think, would be my favorite if I was just trying to go completely off the board on a stack. I mentioned liking Eduardo Rodriguez as a pitcher a little bit, but he has had control issues in the past. Tampa Bay, a pretty talented offense. They like to platoon, so he's going to see a lot of right-handed bats. So Tampa Bay, I think, would be my favorite stack to get different.
Okay. TJ, let's talk about some of the stacks. I imagine what was said about the stacks at the top, that holds firm.
That holds true. Yeah. And I like Tampa Bay as well. That is my favorite off the board stack. They got some really inexpensive hitters in good spots in the lineup, and I like them quite a bit. The other one I don't mind is in tournaments is going up against Roth's guy, Dalton Jeffries, and playing some Minnesota.
He's not my boy. I want to clarify here. That is not my boy.
That is your boy. You went to high school with him. You're friends. You've known each other since birth.
Nonsense.
And you're going to bat to him to play him at pitcher today. But personally, I think we're stacking against him. And Byron Buxton is back in the lineup, so that automatically makes him one of the top hitters on the slate. But one of my favorite things to do today, and this is something I brought up on the show lots, is back ends of the top lineup. So I'm really interested in waiting to see this Giants lineup that comes out, waiting to see this Dodger lineup that comes out, and going from there, because I already know my favorite stack today for tournaments, I think, is going to be a Justin Turner, Cody Bellinger, Gavin Lux type stack. And so that's something I'm very interested in seeing. And I'm hoping, because we don't get the lineup, that people are just going to be sticking to the Freddie Freemans and the Mookie Bettses. And looking at our projected ownership right now, like we're seeing the bottom half of the Dodgers lineup looking like any other unknown team on this slate. So that's definitely going to be my favorite place to go. And I'm interested in seeing what the back half of this San Fran lineup looks like as well.
Okay. That sounds good. Guys, let's go position by position here. We still have 20 minutes or so left. So TJ, you can lead us off with the glorious catcher position.
Yes, I would absolutely love to. Just switching my tab to DraftKings here. So at the catcher position, Will Smith is probably the one I'm most interested in at 4,800. But it's either him or it's Joey Bart all the way down to 3,300. We don't have a lineup yet, but he's probably going to be the catcher for San Fran today, facing a lefty, and he's only 3,300. So we don't have any big punt ones today. I think he's your best pay down option. And if you're trying to pay up, I think your best spot is Will Smith. But in tournaments, I think there's crazier things you could do than Dalton Varsho or Gary Sanchez as well.
All right. Ice.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a ton of options here. The only name that wasn't mentioned is Francisco Mejia. I do like him in a race stack. He grabbed the fifth spot in the lineup, switch hitter, so he'll hold the platoon advantage. I do like Mejia quite a bit.
Okay, take us to first base, Ice.
All right, you've got a couple of giants here. They're going to be prevalent throughout this position by position breakdown. You got Wilmer Flores, 3,200 on DK, Darren Ruff 3,400, so just underpriced, presumably batting in the top or near the middle of that Giants lineup, which we don't have yet. Freddie Freeman is a great option as well to pay up. Davies is not a good pitcher. Freeman is a very talented hitter. Brandon Belt, who's been the massive chalk, he gets a lefty today, so he won't be as popular as he has been. Still going to be a fine option there against Freeland in Coors. Harold Ramirez is a cheap option, hitting third for the Rays.
Yeah, I'm in agreement that I think Wilmer Flores is your top option there on DK, 3,200. Oh, do we have I missed that. We have a Giants lineup now. So we have, what do we got here? Austin Slater, Darren Ruff. That's all the teams. Austin Slater, Darren Ruff, Brandon Belt, Wilmer Flores, Evan Longoria, Brandon Crawford, Tyro Estrada, Joey Bart, and Mike Yastrzemski hitting 9th. So yeah, you have 3 first basemen that you can play on DK for San Fran, and all 3 of them are strong plays. My favorite would be Wilmer Flores, 3,200, batting 4th. Ruff has a little bit of pinch hit risk, maybe not a ton, but a little bit. Brandon Belt, lefty. He's still a good play, but he's priced up, and I would much rather just play Wilmer Flores there. Outside of San Fran, Harold Ramirez is a good cheap option that Eyes mentioned as well. And Freddie Freeman, I think, is probably your top pay up option. I would personally rather go to Freeman than I would to Brandon Belt on this one on DK. Over on FanDuel, things are a little bit different because those San Fran players, their positions are mixed up a little bit. You have Ruff is in the outfield, and you have Brandon Belt is your only guy at first base here. So he's a strong option. However, I think I would still rather get a little bit more to Freddie Freeman or go a little bit down to Max Muncy today. And you can go through all of these positions, and for cash games, you can really just play a Dodger or a Giant, and that pretty much is it on all of them.
Looks like we might have lost Roth's audio.
All right, there we go. So I'll keep running here. I'll shoot us over to second base. And so over at second base, it's a lot of the same boat. It's now, Eyes, are you mostly playing DK or FanDuel today?
I'm mostly on DK today.
Okay, so actually this will work out perfectly. I'm just going to run through the FanDuel position, cash and tournaments, and then I'll throw it over to you for DK if you don't mind.
That sounds perfect.
All right, so for cash on FanDuel, second base, to me, this is the Wilmer Flores position. If you didn't play Max Muncy there, or if you want to play Flores at third, you can also play Muncy. But my top 3 by far are Max Muncy, Wilmer Flores, and then the third being Gavin Lux. Now, Trey Turner is going to pick up a lot of ownership there, and he's probably objectively a better play than Lux. But Gavin Lux is not picking up any rostership, and he allows you to pay down. So I'm all about Gavin Lux today. He is one of my favorite plays for GPPs that we have. And then outside of that, for tournaments, like Josh Rojas is batting second, and he's really cheap if you want to punt. Tony Kemp is leading off if you want to punt there. But Ryan McMahon is probably your other option. But I really love me some Gavin Lux here at second base today.
All right, good stuff. Over on DK, Muncy, I think is clearly the top option. Love him with the platoon advantage there. Davies gives up a lot of hard contact to lefties. Agree with your Lux call for that exact reason. Think that the bottom of the Dodgers order is a great way to differentiate. So love your call there as well. Jorge Polanco is a decent option. Jeffries doesn't strike a ton of guys out. Polanco's hitting 4th today, so like that option. And then I don't mind the 2 Colorado guys. They're both hitting near the bottom of the order, but you got Garrett Hampson and Brendan Rodgers did get bumped up to the 5th spot. So I like him. Webb is a talented pitcher, but it's Coors Field. So don't mind that at all. I'll kick it over to you for some third base FanDuel action.
Love it. So yeah, if you're not playing Wilmer Flores at second, you're playing him at third. I think that works. However, Evan Longoria is your top play there. He's picking up tons of ownership. That's your cash game play. If you're playing him in tournaments, I think that's okay too. Just make sure you're finding somewhere else to get different. We talked about liking a little bit of Tampa Bay today. Yandy Diaz is leading off 2,800. I think that's a solid option. But my favorite tournament option for me is Justin Turner. That second half of the Dodgers lineup not picking up the rostership. We currently have him projected at like 7%. And so Justin Turner is probably my favorite tournament play. But in cash games, Evan Longoria is definitely your guy.
All right, over on DK, Flores has the first base, third base eligibility, so can't play him at second on DK. He's absolutely in play at third base here on DK. Agree with the Longoria call, phenomenal option. Some tournament pivots like Ryan McMahon in that Colorado lineup. It's a little bit thin after that. Yandy Diaz is priced up, but he is leading off against Rodriguez. Mentioned liking the Tampa Bay stack. Love the Justin Turner call. He's a great option, assuming that he's in that Dodgers lineup. And then it's really thin out after that. So I think that's pretty much the pool. Let's go ahead and move it on over to shortstop.
Yeah, so moving it on over to shortstop, I want to give us a quick reminder. We are 13 likes away from the Spidey Bomb at 50 likes. So hit that like button. It helps us. As my dogs are barking, that's a bad.
Your dogs
that's
want
a
the
bad,
likes too.
My dogs want the likes. They're fired up for it. So don't disappoint Sonic. Don't disappoint Obi-Wan. Help us battle the YouTube algorithm so it shows up on your pages, and hit that like button. It's free content sponsored by FanDuel. So we thank FanDuel for sponsoring this content, and yeah, make sure you hit the like button so we can keep bringing this to you for free. So at the shortstop position, my favorite play on FanDuel 2,500. If you're not playing them at second, I think for cash games, what I'm doing personally is I'm going Flores second, I'm going Longoria third, and Gavin Lux over at short. But so Gavin Lux is my top play there at short. But if you aren't as high on him as I am, you still have your Trey Turner, you have your Brandon Crawford. But somebody who's seen a big price decrease on FanDuel lately is Wander Franco. He's only down to 3,300. And so I think arguably that would be your objectively best cash game play, 3,300 Wander Franco, just because he's way too cheap. Jorge Polanco is somebody you could go to as well. Another tournament option that I like quite a bit is Tyro Estrada, somebody in that San Fran lineup in Coors Field who's not picking up a lot of rostership, but that pretty much does it for me. Like, you have Javi Baez, who's still too underpriced, but that's not my top option for me today.
All right. Over on DK, Franco is priced up. I absolutely love him today, but probably more of a tournament play on DK. It's just 400 more to get up to Trey Turner, who is a phenomenal option. I think that's where I would look to in cash if spending up. And there's not a ton of great punt options. So I would try to get up to Turner for cash. Looking to pivot in for some tournaments. Carlos Correa is back in the lineup for Minnesota, so I do like him. Brandon Crawford has the lefty-lefty matchup, so he will be one of the lower-owned Giants, I think. He's in the 6 hole. Don't mind that one. Looking to punt it, I would probably go down to like Taylor Walls. He's way down in the 8th hole, but in that Tampa Bay lineup that I do like a good amount today.
Yeah, I'm with you there. So heading over to the outfield, checking 5 likes away from the Spidey Bomb, and I wanted it to get it by the outfield because my Spidey Bomb today is in the outfield position, and so I was hoping we'd be able to get that there, but maybe by the end of it. So your top outfield plays is like Mookie Betts is the top one. He's 4,300, as well as Byron Buxton. Like, in terms of your payout guys, those are your top 2. You do have Charlie Blackmon leading off here today in Coors Field, so that's definitely an interesting option as well. But the mid-range is where you're getting some of your best value. Darren Ruff, 3,100, batting second. Randy Arozarena, batting fourth, 2,700. Austin Slater's got pinch hit risk, but we've seen him a couple times this year already get a leadoff homer at 2,700. So those are a ton of great options. You got other guys as well. Sam Hilliard, 2,600. Garrett Hampson, 2,500. Like, there are very cheap ways to get to Coors Field today. And then another one rounding out that stack we talked about earlier is Harold Ramirez batting third all the way at 2,400. However, we're at 47. I trust the people. We're going to get 3 more. Hit that like button. The Spidey Bomb today, not picking up near as much rostership as he should. And my favorite play in the outfield is Cody Bellinger. So I don't know where he's exactly going to hit in the lineup. That lineup hasn't come out yet. We're projecting him to hit 7th in the lineup. And I just absolutely love bringing that second half of the lineup through. That Bellinger, Gavin Lux, those are my anchors. They're inexpensive, and and Cody Bellinger is our Spidey Bomb today. And we hit 50 likes just as I finished saying that. So thank you to our YouTube viewers for doing that as well.
Good stuff. Love your strategy there of going to the bottom of that Dodgers lineup. Not going to be very popular, but plenty of upside there as the Dodgers are just talented, so talented throughout that entire lineup. So love that call. Just nothing really different on DK. San Francisco is entirely underpriced. You've got Ruff and Slater standing out at just 3,400. They're going to come with massive ownership. Yastrzemski has the lefty-lefty matchup, and he's in the 9 hole. So I think he's a good pivot to kind of differentiate your San Francisco stack. Agree with Betts as one of the top options, and love Buxton up there as well. Blackmon is grabbing a little more ownership than I like. I will play some Colorado stacks. Blackman with the leadoff spot there. Don't mind him. Grichuk is one of my favorite tournament pivots. He homered yesterday. He's hitting 6 for Colorado. Like that a good amount. Arozarena is one of my favorite Tampa Bay bats. Been mentioning them throughout the show. He's hitting cleanup today against Rodriguez, the lefty. Taylor, we'll have to see if Chris Taylor for the Dodgers, have to see if he cracks the lineup. If he does, he will be in my Dodger stacks for sure. Let's see here. Anything else kind of off the board? We mentioned Harold Ramirez. Vidal Brujan for the Tampa Bay Rays is another option, kind of lower in the order that you can use to further differentiate your Tampa Bay stacks. Love your Bellinger call. Definitely going to be playing a ton of him, assuming that he's in that like 6 or 7 spot in the lineup. Acuna, nobody's going to play him against Burns. I don't mind just hoping that he homers and puts up a big score at the top of that Braves lineup. But I think that pretty much covers it. I guess we'll kick it over to some questions.
Agreed. Yeah, I agreed with that Acuna call as well. If you do have any questions, drop them in the YouTube chat, drop them in the MLB Crunch Time Discord chat. Either one of those, we are going to be checking both to answer your questions. When we get that Dodgers lineup, another one I think is interesting to look at, if he is in the lineup, is Edwin Rios. If Edwin Rios happens to get in there, whether it's instead of Turner as a DH, whatever it is, he's been hitting the ball very, very well this year. And because he's not in the projected lineup, he's probably not going to be somebody that gets played by the field much at all. So Edwin Rios becomes somebody to me that will be very, very interesting if he does crack a lineup spot. So if you have any QQs.
Yeah, sorry, I was just gonna expand on that a little bit. Like the fact we don't have a Dodgers lineup, and we're approaching lock here, they're going to be far lower owned than they should be. Like people are still going to have Betts and Turner and Freeman in their lineup, but if we get something weird at the bottom of that lineup, they're going to be like way lower owned than they should be. So this is good news for tournament players. All you got to do is go in and just rework your stack a little bit. If we get like a Barnes over Will Smith or Rios cracks the lineup, something like that, definitely going to be some edges there to be had with that Dodgers lineup.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And so we have a question in the Discord chat. As a one-off, who do you like better for a tournament, Randy Arozarena or Sam Hilliard? This is a Fanduel question, but you can give your input here as well, of course. That's honestly pretty darn close to a coin flip for me. The roster ships are similar. Our projections on them are similar. I think for me personally, I'd probably rather go Arozarena by a little bit, but that's a close one for me.
Yeah, it's a Arozarena for me too. I'm heavy on the Rays. Hilliard's down in the order. We got Arozarena there in the cleanup spot. So
shoot, we just got our Dodgers lineup 9 minutes before lock, so that would have been better for us if we didn't. But we got Betts, Freeman, Trey Turner, Will Smith, Max Muncy, Justin Turner, Bellinger, Taylor, Lux. So it's exactly how we projected it. You got Lux hitting 9, Bellinger hitting 7, Turner hitting 6. I really think those are a great 3 to build your stack around, and then you finish it off with either Muncy or Taylor. Even Will Smith, I think those are going to be ones that aren't going to be near as highly rostered as the Mookie Bettses, the Freddie Freemans, and the Trey Turners.
All right. Yeah, disappointing that came out. I was hoping we could get a random guy pop in there that wasn't projected. So we get it 10
exactly. Edwin
exactly
Rios would have been the guy to win us some GPPs today, but it's not there. Sure. That's okay. So we got that lineup out there, which we needed. We don't have any QQs in FanDuel or in our Discord or in the YouTube right now. So if you do have those, make sure you check them out. Hit that like button again one time for us if you haven't done it yet. Are you playing the late slate tonight as well?
Yeah, I'll definitely be in there for the evening slate.
Yeah, I did the morning grind today with Stevie, and we got to talk that one through already. And I think this might be this. It's interesting because we kind of have one guy and nothing else for this morning slate in terms of Corbin Burns. But this night slate might be the strongest pitching slate that we have had this year so far.
Yeah, I'm just pulling it up now. Got to knock out some content as soon as we get off the show here. But yeah, we've got Scherzer, Gaussman, Cole, Ohtani, Giolito. So yeah, just an absolutely loaded pitching slate tonight. Going to be a fun one. I think definitely going to be some edges, making sure you're getting the top 2 scoring pitchers there. You've got Cole with a great matchup. Scherzer with kind of a lower strikeout matchup against St. Louis. So be interesting to see where ownerships come out on those guys. Gaussman looking like the guy that's under-owned currently as our projections sit.
That's what I was gonna say as well. Like I was when I was talking about that with Stevie, I was really saying that like I don't know who my favorite of the 3 is yet, because it's really just going to be whichever one isn't picking up the rostership. And Kevin Gaussman is definitely looking like that will be my tournament guy today. And I wanted to make sure I got that in, because Wednesday there's no Agents of Fantasy. That comes on Tuesdays as well as Fridays. And then I'm on the expert survey Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. So Mondays and Wednesdays are my 2 days without written content. So I figured I'd plug that as well. Kevin Gaussman is definitely a tournament play I'm liking today, as he is not picking up any rostership on this one. So we are currently 5 minutes away from lock. We might get out of here a little bit early if we don't have any questions. So if you do have any questions for the early slate, for the late slate, for life in general, hit us with those right now. Like I mentioned, the Agents of Fantasy is going to be a recurring article on Rotogrinders, hitting every Tuesday and Friday. I give some superhero puns while I also give my baseball takes, and it weaves in my website, agentsoffandom.com, and it's a pretty fun little project that I've been doing there. So doesn't look like we're getting any last minute QQs in here. Eyes, do you have anything for the people before we get out of here?
I'll go ahead and plug my article as well. Over on Scores and Odds, click the news section. I'm doing an article 4 days a week for pitcher strikeout props. It's been going really well, 25-10 over the picks over the last the last 2 weeks. I will have one out later today. I haven't started on it, so it might be a little bit later with this early slate, but it will be geared towards these evening slated games. Just looking at that Gaussman stuff, I think Gaussman will make the article, but definitely check that out over on scoresandodds.com.
For sure, check that out over on Scores and Odds. We do have one QQ, a couple QQs before we get out of here. DKGPP, Gavin Lux with Mookie Betts versus Darren Ruff, or just favorite outfielder 3,600 or less. So who's your favorite outfielder 3,600 or less on Fanduel? Or sorry, on DraftKings.
On DraftKings. I mean, I love the Gavin Lux call. If you've already got Mookie Betts in there, I think that makes a ton of sense. If I wasn't, like, Ruff is going to be the most popular hitter on the slate, more than likely. So I definitely would be looking to get away from that. Harold Ramirez is a guy that I will have quite a bit of. He's grabbing some ownership as well. So yeah, I think Lux would be the top option. If you don't like that, I'd go Harold Ramirez.
Awesome. And then somebody also asked, who are your favorite Giants outfielders on FanDuel? I'll say my least favorite one is Austin Slater. We're projecting him right now to pick up to be played more often than Darren Ruff is. And so I think Ruff has a bit less pinch hit risk. And so I'd rather go him than Slater. And while he doesn't project as well, Mike Yastrzemski batting ninth, he won't get pinch hit for. It's lefty on lefty. Slater might have one at bat, might have two. Ruff might get pinch hit for as well. Yastrzemski won't. And so even though he doesn't have as good of a lineup spot, he might actually get the most at-bats of those three. And he's picking up a third of the rostership as the other two guys. So for tournaments, I think it's definitely interesting to get Yastrzemski in your stacks as opposed to Slater or something like that. Burns or Buehler for tournament play have 10,300 left on DK. For me, it's Burns by far. It doesn't matter to me that the rostership isn't there. I'm definitely playing Corbin Burns over Walker Buehler. And one last question before we get out of here. QQ, FanDuel, large GPP. What's the most salary you would be willing to leave on the table to be different? Now, this question will be different depending on who you ask it to. You got somebody like Blender who he has no issues as long as his stacks correlate, leaving $2,000, $3,000, even $4,000 on the table sometimes, as long as that means he's getting different and he has stacks that correlate together. to me, the correlation is more important than the amount of money remaining. However, I always seem to find that I can find ways to get different near the top of the salary cap. So I very rarely leave too much on the table. What about you, Keith?
I'm fine with leaving some money, especially when it's a smaller slate like this and we have such chalky spots. It's just another avenue that you can use to differentiate your lineups. So it is slate dependent for me, but on a slate like this, I am totally fine leaving $3,000 or $4,000.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense as well. So we had one more person asking what the Spidey Bomb was. Spidey Bomb was Cody Bellinger, my favorite stack of the day, and Eyes is on the same page as well. We love the back half of that Dodgers lineup. And so that'll do it for us on Crunch Time today. Thank you to Fanduel, our sponsor, helping us give you free content. Make sure you hit that like button over on YouTube. And what Roth mentioned before his internet cut out on him, there are some big weather edges for the PGA Championship coming up starting tomorrow. So head over to, if you're a Rotogrinders premium member, head over to Roth's weather report over there on Rotogrinders to let you know what's up, because that is there's going to be some very important weather for the PGA Championship this weekend. So thank you very much for joining us. Good luck in all your MLB contests today. If you're playing basketball, good luck with that. If you're playing golf, good luck with that. For myself, for Keith, that'll do it. Thank you so much.